Hi everyone, it's Daisy. Our project for today is a reindeer and it's going to be in graphite. It'll teach you a lot about the shading values, how to study lights and darks, and then how to apply the carbon from the pencil, and finally how to give texture on the fur. So stay with me and I hope you enjoyed this one. It's quite different, but it's very enjoyable. It's got a lot that it covers. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to draw in basically the outlines. When you look at that picture, you're not worried about his body. Don't bother. We're going to really study technique here. So what I'm trying to say is we're going to put in our head. So if you look at your paper, you want to use about this much, like 1/3 to the head and 2/3 for the height of your antlers. I got that right this time. So more often than not, what happens is when we draw the antlers after the fact, we end up losing space. So let's start, everyone. What we're going to do is I want you to say that where the top of your antlers you plan to have it. So just go ahead and put yourself like a line here and just put a line. That's it. And we're going to change this up, of course, but we want to start by positioning the antlers and then we'll move to the face. And it's a drawing, it's an outline right now. So first thing, just create a line. So go up vertically, stop. And at this point, you're going to change direction. Two. Just one line. I know there's added spikes and everything, but for right now, this is what I've drawn. From the point where you bent away, at this point, you want to put a dot right to the opposite side here, and you want to straighten it up, move in. So this becomes, we're still just working on the left side of his antler. So we haven't done anything more than that. Start making it skinnier as you come towards the head, because that's what the picture is showing us. Between these two lines, create a very comfortable kind of a curve. Where can you position this intersection so that you can complete the antler that's kind of turning away and the one that will carry on up there? So you want to think about those things. Now I'm going to change up the top of this line. 1. Here you go. Now leave this alone. Don't draw the line going up. Instead, I want you to bring this back down a little bit to where you think it would go to project the next kind of curve. Now, if you were to look at this thing in terms of alignment, please remember, if this is on the one on top does not anywhere go past the one on the bottom, number 1, and it wants to be a little bit on the inside. So those are things to look out for. And now you're going to turn it inward. Now this is where it makes a difference, this part. So as you bring it in, you want to kind of really get the angle right, so that it feels like you are making a comfortable antler. And the line is not a perfect smooth line. So if you look at the picture, the reference picture on my computer, you will notice that it is not a perfectly straight line. I'm going to take off my outside line and I'm going to try to follow the bumps and the kinks of this line from the inside, so that it makes better sense. That's my antler for the outside. I'm going to make it a bit skinny from here. Please keep the main picture as your reference point, that is what you are trying to pair to, and once you're happy, you can stop. Now,
Miss Daisy.
Yep.
I don't really think I have a lot of space for the next antler.
Neither do I. But I'm going to draw whatever I can. Or I might intentionally make it look a little shorter. Either ways, let's just keep going because retracting will make us lose time. So now look at this. If I position a ruler directly over the marker that I put for the second antler, I want the curve to end not on top, but maybe about here. This is where I want the curve to end. So it is not directly above it. I'm just trying to show you in terms of placement. Do not touch this bottom marker. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to take up the curve for this part. Then you're going to leave that alone. You're going to make the second curve, which goes outward to begin with. Starts to go straighter up. And then bends. Now, this longer line comes down to my base right there, like so. I'm not going to worry about this stroke right here. This one will finish later. The other side, wide, going into becoming skinny. Keeping the skinny for a bit, becoming a little bit wider. Becoming skinny again at the top. Now you'll notice in line with this spoke right here, you go across to the other antler and you're going to mark the bump that you can see on the outside. And it will curve to meet like so. So what that means for us is that you will not need to have a little bit of your line right here. This opens up. And also from the bottom, you're going to gradually meet up there. So you can take away this much of your line on the inside. If this part feels a little too skinny, you can fix it up to where it feels all right. Now, the next spoke needs to be under this one, but higher than this one. So go across right here, gonna touch, come out, come back, here, and you apply. Next, this line that's kind of coming out here, you're going to curve the bottom like so. Squeeze. Come out. We still have a little bit of the antlers on the bottom, which is on top of my reindeer's face. But I would like to draw the reindeer's face first before I get into drawing those. Otherwise, it'll become too chaotic. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to give the reindeer the back of his head right there. In which case, I can erase away the bottom of this antler and the bottom of that one. I don't need these flat lines anymore. Just leave them open-ended. Next, what you're going to do is, notice, so how do I put this up for you? Directly under this, now I'm going to make a few lines. I want you to watch. I don't want you to draw. Directly under this, right over here, will be the nostril. Wait a minute, do not draw. Directly under this, over at this point, will be your eye, 1. And moving across here will be your eye number 2. So this is a planning stage, hold on. And so what they're showing you is that the reindeer's head has a triangle that comes down and it will finish. So if this is the top of my reindeer's nose, it comes and goes over like this. So you get a triangular formation there. This is the alignment. So what I'm trying to show you is, under this is the eye, under that is the nose's edge. Then what you want to do is you want to bring the front of the reindeer's like kind of snout. You know, every animal, reindeers, cows, everything, they all have this kind of a triangle. This triangular thing comes down on the top of their head and it goes towards the nose. Does that make sense? So I hope that this kind of makes you understand alignment. I'm going to take this off because it looks chaotic, but this is how you should be looking at your pictures to plan how to draw them. So, and it will never guide you wrong because you would have thought about these things. So first thing, let's make the top of the reindeer's head, which is going to come out here. On the opposite side, it's going to come out over here and become skinnier. So this is like the front of the head area. The eyes are positioned under them. So the eyes will not be on top of it. They will be under it. And we might change the line a bit. Next step, over here is where you see the eye. So you're going to have a curved line, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your eye for the reindeer. So I made it in different sections. First, a sharp curve, then a drop, then the bottom is kind of flattened and it goes up to the side. On top of his curve is going to be the bottom. Right here is the bottom eyelid. Now in terms of reindeers, reindeers have a bottom and a top eyelid. Like us humans, we only have an eyelid on the top. So from the front of the eye, you're going to put another eyelid over and it's going to finish here. So notice that you don't make the eyelid on the back at all, and the bottom eyelid also you don't. It's based because of the perspective. All right, for the rest of you, put your finger here and slide across. This is where you are going to plug in the other eye. So it's going to be like a curved line that moves out from that triangle. And you're going to put in his eye right there. Of course, he's got the eyelid on top of this, so you do have to show the eyelid. Cannot not show that eyelid. So what I'm saying is here. And from there, you're going to pull the line to go back to his forehead right there. So you, now have a look at your picture. I want you to put your picture next to your computer screen somehow so you can see the photograph of the reindeer and what you have drawn. How do you like the alignment of his eyes? How do you like the size of the eyes? How do you like the placement of the head? These are things that you're going to say, hey, I like it, or it's not coming out. I need to fix something here. So these are decisions I need you to do right now, right now.
Daisy, does this look good?
Yes. The alignment looks good. Okay, I said that, but wait a minute. This eye, look at me. This eye looks like it's lower than that one. You want them about the same line. So in terms of placement, I know that that one is a little bit smaller, but don't forget we need to make the bottom eyelid also. But they need to be about the same angle, sort of. You need to check for that. I feel like yours is a little bit more of a shift. That's why I'm asking you. Ariba, let me see yours.
Miss Daisy.
That feels all right, Ariba. Yes.
So should I move this eye up or this eye down?
Show me again. Put the picture and I'll tell you. Put the outer eye down a little bit. Bring that one just a little bit, marginally, not too much. Leave that one there, and that one just shift it down just a bit. So how would you shift it down? You would just take it off here. I'm doing it again. And so if I was coming across right there, this is going to be my eye positioning. Now put your pencil, check that you like it. Then you're going to create the bottom of the eye. You're going to create the bottom eyelid, and you're also going to create the top eyelid. And then you're going to pull that line back to the head. You're going to take the bottom of your antlers, and you're going to bring that, check this line over the eye. The eye has to be situated under the front plane of the face. It has to be under it, not in the middle of it. Next step, you're going to create your nose to the front. So what you need to remember we talked about this. If I put my ruler here under my left antler, right over there, this is where the nose starts. So that means I have the nostril, which is like this. Have a look at me. Look at the shape of that nostril, right, guys? And you can only see the top of it. You can't see all of it. So I don't expect to fit his entire face, number one. Then you are going to go down and up, over, and curve it in, like so, for the actual nose of your reindeer. At this point, you will take your outside line and you're going to go to meet the face. So you don't need this center line anymore as much, but that is where your face will come into conjunction with the nose. We're not talking about anything else right now, just the nose. Remember, we magnified in. This is a graphite project. I want to work on technique with you guys. So I'm picking the areas that we are going to work on versus trying to draw the entire reindeer. So we are going to plug in the ears, and then we're going to plug in the bottom part of the antlers, and then the graphite shading starts. So now that the nose is done, you are going to come behind the eye. Notice that on the level of the eye like this, look at me, you can place a marker right here. This is the bottom of your ear. From the outside of the eye here, this is where the outside of the ear is. So you use your eyes in this way. Most animals, this is how their ears are placed. So what that means is, I'm gonna, watch me draw this please. gonna drop the line to that line, and I'm going to pick up the ear out. From this bottom, I'm going to take it straight. This is how I make my ear. So it fits perfectly at the right position because the bottom of the ear is from the height, the lid line, and the inside of the ear on the top is from that point. This is how I get the placement. Take off these lines that are helping me to draw it. After that, I will make the bottom of the bone and everything. And now from here, I can put in a curved line and do it like this. That is where the ear would be placed. Everything else is a lot of shadow. We're going to take care of that afterwards. Go to the opposite side. From the base of this antler, all you're going to do is you're going to take out the ear line. One. Look at the bottom of the ear. So from the place where you have your eye, you're going to curve outward like this. Drop it down, and you're going to pick it up.
My ears look a little off.
The one that you made on the left side is definitely off. So again, let's do it one more time together, Arya. So the top line, take it out just a little bit, but this is not a very long ear, so stop it short. So look at this. This is my eye area, and look at where I'm stopping that line, just a little bit ahead of it, not too far. Then I'm going to go close to the upper eyelid on my left eye and make like a hook right here. I will use the tip of the hook to create the end for the ear. So your length is too much. That's why you're feeling like it's off. Just have a look at that. Should be okay. Now one more line I would like to put in. It'll help us in the shading. From the side of the eye, right here, from the bottom of the eyelid, right, this part, I want you to put a little line dot here, and what's going to happen is you're going to pull a vertical line downward that will go off your paper. But this is the place that is the side of the reindeer's face, which has all the dark fur on it. So just for your reference, when we start shading, you're not supposed to go and do his face. This is your reindeer. That's what we drew. So we're going to get our pencil and we're going to start working on our shading. So what you need ready in your hand, you're going to need your blending stick. You're going to need a pencil, and make sure the tip is sharp, and a piece of kitchen paper so you're not putting your hand on the picture while you shade. So that's going to give you a lot of problem. So just take care of those a few things and we can start. So I'm going to go sharpen my pencil. Give me a minute. Okay. Moving up, moving here. There's my face. Now, let's start off. So the first things first, you'll notice the darkness around the eyelid here. So that's what we're going to first. You're going to add that darkness, and there under the eye there's like a hook. It's like a curved line. It is not just a patch. So you want to do this. And you want this thing to come from the T that you have made here. All of this is going to get shaded in pretty dark. Like so. behind the eye over here, you're going to go up and you're going to come down here, right there. So all the shading that we're doing goes up to this point. You're going to create the darkness at the bottom, at the base of your antler, right here. And you're going to merge it nicely. So you can never really have sharp corners, especially on... They would come in. Good. There he is. Now, before we move away, what you can now do is, if it helps you, you can take this blending stick and you can soften up the graphite all over here. So it will mix really well and it will smooth the whole shading out and you'll get a really soft and even look. Nice and even over there. Now, the next place where you want to work is the eye. So we are going to work sections and move around the face of this reindeer. Now look at his light spots. You need to create those. Plus there's some white showing in his eye. First thing, make a line at the top here. That's his white. And you're going to stop right there. Then you're going to draw in the shape of his light spots, which looks like a slice of pie right there. A big one followed by a small one. Those are his light spots. And then I see another like a curve, but this one has a top as well as a bottom. And I want to leave this section white. Now, I've said this, but here's another thing that you need to understand. There is a pupil. If you pay attention, it's really, really dark and it's kind of right here section and it never goes on top of your light spot. So this is where you're going to put in a really dark spot right there. The rest of it is sort of light and dark. So you don't have to go darker. Now, wait a minute. Apart from this, what you also need to know is that this bottom eyelid here has a lot of darkness. So you're going to plug that in. And you're going to rotate it to kind of becoming like a curved line here on the lower lid. We are at the lower lid right now. The top lid comes into contention next. And we're going to broaden and make this upper line really dominant right here. And you're going to let it go out to the side, right over here. And you're going to darken this area even more. So you can actually add more graphite to increase the intensity of the darkness. Now, this is your next go-to. I want your eyes on the computer, please, so I can show you. Look at what I'm going to do. I take my blending stick. And one thing, I'm going to rub it over the graphite here, just rubbing it. I'm not blending. Rubbing it here, rubbing it here, rubbing it on the bottom. Then I use that stick and I'm going to add in the carbon to create the shading on the eye. I'm not putting pencil to this, please understand. So I want the upper side of my reindeer's eye to look more darker than the bottom side. The bottom side has got a little bit of brightness. It's hard to see sometimes, but it has brightness. So you want to have that difference in the shading. You do not want to make it the same shading. That would be a mistake. That's one thing. Now, give me a thumbs up when you guys are done with the eye and I'll move to the next area. Otherwise, I might be skipping over really fast on various things. Okay, thanks, Fila. Waiting on the others. While you're waiting now, Fila, see if you can get in the antlers. I know that I'm zoomed in, but the problem is all the other kids are also working on this right now. So let me zoom out and just get a look at it, and I'm going to zoom back in. Those are my antlers, Fila. Have a look at the shape. See if you can take a screenshot with your computer or something and just put it up for yourself so that you can catch up to that part. Got it?
I don't know how to take a screenshot.
What, are you on an Apple computer or a Windows?
I am on. Actually, I think this is. I don't think this is. I think this is an Apple.
So Apple screenshot, you do Command Shift and the number 4 key together. It will create a little plus sign on your screen. And what you can do is you can drag it across the area you want to screenshot.
Command what?
Command, Shift, and the number 4. Together. You have to press them together. You'll see a plus sign pop up. Now you hold that plus sign and drag it over whatever you wanted to take a shot off. And then release.
Where's the plus sign?
It should pop up. I'm going to expand back up. Just see if you can make it work, okay?
It only has this thing.
Don't worry. It's okay. I was hoping that it could work for you. Maybe check with your mom or dad. They could help you, and I'll go back to normal again. Look at this now. Eyes on the computer, guys. I brush over the dark, and I bring it down into the lighter areas so that I can fill it with a little bit of carbon. But you see that you still keep the light and dark difference. Do the same for the bottom, and you do not add more pencil to it, but you just bleed the color out. That's what you want to do. Now, it is important for us to get the outer area to look way darker. So please take your pencil and really push the dark on this. Otherwise, you are not going to get the variation that you want. So look at how much darker I've suddenly become. Look at that. And I'm doing this because that's how dark I see my image on my reference picture. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to bleed this into the rest of my reindeer's anatomy here, just over this part, which is supposed to be very dominantly dark. Again, I want to use that to give my upper section of my eye a little bit more darkness than all the other areas. And I'm doing that right now. This is how you create eyes. Always measure up for your bright spots. Now, notice on the anatomy of the deer, you have got another dimple. It kind of stretches from here and it goes up. Look at the reference picture and you'll see it right there. So what I'm saying is there's a little bit of a dimple here and it kind of moves upward like this. So after you put down the pencil, smooth it out with your blending stick first like this. So you create that area, and then you want to just spread carbon around it like so. So you don't really want to, because remember, all of this is shadowed. So yeah, you're going to create shadows all over here like this. But when you create a darker section like that, that darker section does hold up as being more darker than the rest of the outlying area that you're working on. That does work that way. Now, moving forward, right from the nook of his eye over here, you will notice that there's a bone structure right here. It's like a little bend on his nose. And it is in line with the nostril right there. So the placing of this is very important. Please check that you get it right. And what you want to do now is you want to smooth this out, of course. Whenever you use a pencil, you got to remember that that area will automatically be darker than the surrounding area. You won't have to work too hard on it at all. Like so. Now I'm going over the front of his face, right over here. And notice that the area around the nostril, this part, all of this becomes very dark. So I'm going to use this. So I put my pencil where I want the higher level of darkness. The rest of it I leave blank. Why? Because I'm gonna use it anyways to kind of bleed the area and get everything all saturated and everything. So yeah, I'll be fine. Pencil again, your blending stick rather. Smooth the whole thing out. Make it nice and even wherever you feel that it needs to be. And you can keep please looking at the main picture on the computer just to kind of make sure that you know that you are on track. And once you do this, then you can spread the carbon into the lighter areas and you'll get shadows automatically, but you'll get the lights and darks that you need as well. So this blending stick is nothing but paper. Just like you might use kitchen paper to help you to blend every now and then. Well, it's a stick that's already kind of paper and it's rolled into becoming very effective for you. Now notice that we still haven't made any strokes to give any kind of fur so far. We're just focusing in on the lights and darks. And that's ideally what I would always recommend that you do. Capture those lights and darks first before you start worrying about where should your fur be. The fur will come in after the fact, not before.
Miss Daisy, I haven't really caught up to you.
Okay, so I'm going to hold off here. This is for the most part the face.
Miss Daisy, there's a random caller on Microsoft Teams, and every time it comes through, I don't even know this person, but every time it comes through, it pauses the call, and I can't hear or see anything.
So are you saying you think it's coming from my side? A caller?
No, my side.
Oh, I see. And have you turned your airplane mode on? So what happens is if you're using your phone or computer for this purpose and you don't want interruptions, so what I do is I go to airplane mode. So any local call, text, anything should not be coming through to me because I've taken myself off the grid.
Oh, I just.
That's what I do to avoid it. But even then, I don't know if you guys can see, sometimes a message pops up regardless of that. I don't know how that happens, but it does. Possibly from the people that I keep in my important like section. I don't know.
The side of the paper is kind of more rough, so it's harder to blend.
It is more rough, I agree, but at this point, we'll just work with it for today. But it gives me what to do for the next time so that I don't have to have this thing repeat again. Okay. Can I move forward? Okay. Ariba, can I move? She's working. How about you, Aria? Still working?
I just have the top section left.
Let me see. Okay, go ahead and do it. Now, there's a reason why I'm keeping this area just with the blending thing and not with the pencil, because if you notice the picture, the hair on that part for the deer is white. So I want to use a reverse effect on that one to show you how to create the fur effect if the fur is supposed to be white. Okay, Ariba's ready. Michael, are you ready? Okay, got it. Thanks, Michael. So, next thing, I'm going to go work on the nostrils. So look at this. So the way that you work on this is that the nostril isn't dark everywhere. So you can only put in a really dark line in here. Just watch for a minute. And I want you to erase away this outline that we have created. You're not going to need this now. You just need this little dark line here. And that's for that dark part on the inside of our nostrils. And just use your blending stick to squash it out. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to apply whatever carbon is on that blending stick. Let it apply in here, into that nose area. We have got white fur that's all over it. So what you're going to do is you can take it. I don't think any of you have this pencil, which is like an eraser in a pencil. So what we'll do is I'm going to request you guys to grab your eraser and shave off a corner of it so that you get a little piece like this with a sharp edge. And what you are going to do with that is you're going to create the hairs. So like that. Do you see how you're making lines over the gray? And these are the white hairs that you want. So again, there. So you take off the carbon. You don't put it on. And a similar way, you're going to have it. You want to show the effect of like little hairs right over there. So you do it by taking away the carbon. But on the top over here, where you want to add in a little bit of black between the lines, you can just use your pencil and just kind of put in a little bit of the carbon, pushing past the line of that nose so that you have this feeling. And that's what you would do to create the look of the white fur on his nose. Now, I'm going to keep moving so that we've got 10 minutes left. And I want to take you to one of the ears at least. I still have the other eye to do. So if you look at the other eye, notice that it has got a lot of white spots. So it's got, this is one bright spot here. And then this is another white spot here. But the top lid becomes dark here. This is what happens with it. You get a darker line in the middle of it right here. And then you are going to put in a lot of darkness on this flesh right over here. So this part takes up the more really aggressive dark here. Now, with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stroke on top of my eyelid, and then I'm going to create whatever little effect it needs with the excessive carbon. I don't need to add additional carbon, but this is what you need, and you're going to apply a little bit of the shading to these white spots so that they're not overly bright, like this. And you want to put the bottom eyelid as being a little bit more darker as well. You're going to put a little bit of darkness onto the eyelid and stuff. So this is what you're looking at for the other eye. And again, I'm watching the way that the shadows are playing around the base of the antlers. That's one place right there, and around the eye. So the bottom eyelid also, I had made it quite aggressively dark. Right there. Now, if you shift this just a little bit, and we shift the picture, I wanted to go to the antlers, but you've got, I think for the ear, you get the idea that you're gonna go dark and light into the ears, but let's take this to the antlers, shall we? So reduce a little bit and come up. Have a look at your antlers now. So you're going to pick this up. This is what you've got for the entire face, the effect of the face, but the ears we still have to do, but I wanted to work on the antlers with you. Your eyes need to be able to identify lights from darks. So when you do this guy, for example, notice that there's a shiny spot on the very edge of it. So what you want to do with your eraser, you're not to rub this. I want you to clean off your eraser so it's clean here, and I want you to daub. That means push down. Do not erase. Push down. Do not erase. Push down. You will keep picking up the carbon from this line that we drew. We don't want to see that line that much. We want to reduce it down, but we don't want to lose it. This is called daubing. This is when you take your eraser and you literally daub off the technique. Now I'm going to increase. So let's have a look at this. Make sure your pencil is really, really sharp. Why? Because you're going to leave a bright spot on the edge. Very clean, and you can only do that if you have a sharp pencil. And you need another line that actually sits on the very edge, and it needs to be nice and fine. Right there. Then from the bottom, you have this, and you can shade into it right here. So that's your shadow. You can use your blending stick to blend into it. You have to be very intentional about where you apply what, especially in this. Now, coming into the arm. Like so. And moving towards the base of the antler. Right here. So you have this. So this becomes like your base. Now, remember, as you are doing all this blending, your stick has got lots of carbon on it. Instead of putting pencil to the next part, use the carbon that you already have on here to get into your antler up. There's so much of carbon that you pick up, you want to use it. You don't want to keep adding more and more. Now again, see, look at the difference. Look at how fine this one looks and look at the aggressive lines that we drew and how they look on the other one. So again, you would ideally want to take those lines off by a daubing effect before you start doing this blending stuff so that you can have a really good looking kind of a outline to your entire antler. Every time I want to use the word antler, antenna comes to mind, and I know that that would be wrong, so I have to remind myself, go back to the dictionary in my brain and tell myself what the right word is and what I should be using. So you have this, and I'm still using just my blending stick. Whatever carbon I have is still so strong that I can use it. And I want to leave a brightness on either side of the antler. You see that? That is something I want. I don't want to get rid of it. So again, for this small little guy over here, daub it off. By daubing off, I know you can erase it and maybe you can erase it lightly, but by daubing it off, you are consistently picking up the carbon steadily, and you are reducing it to a very light intensity. Now I'm going to cover it so I can rest my hand here. I want to only have the darkness in the middle of this area, not everywhere. And then I want to apply my stick to it. And I want to control where that stick goes. I don't want it everywhere. So I want to be very intentional, and I can use the extra carbon again into the middle part of the ear, and that's perfect for me. So now if I want to intensify the carbon here a little bit, I can now apply a little bit of pencil, but not a lot, so that I can keep that control on all the stuff that I'm doing. These are a few of our techniques. You really want to, as the person, as the artist that's working with the lights and the darks of everything, your first job is to identify where is the light and where is the dark. Once you get that, you have to be very controlled on how you release the carbon. So this is what we've had so far, guys. We are at the end of our time to work on this project, but this is the shading. Now, what else do we need to do with this? We would have done fur on it. We would have stroked in the fur on the places where I can see the fur. So that is something I would have done. Just like the nose, I took away the carbon to release the white fur. In a similar way, where did my tiny little piece of my eraser? Oh, here it is. I could use that same thing into the fur lines here to kind of give me some fur effect into the forehead area right here. And I can put the fur